Hello and welcome to Weather on the Go. I hope everybody's having a great Monday and new work week out there. Please do follow me on Twitter at hweather420 as I'll be posting regular weather-related content on my Twitter page as well with photos and kind of weather, interactive type of weather stuff on there here as well. As we go into today's video, I'm going to be talking about the multi-day severe weather threat across much of the middle of the country, kind of centered around the Central Plains area, and then here kind of looking long range in towards the middle of June and toward the Father's Day weekend for a major heat wave that is also expected across the country as well, especially across the desert Southwest and the Southern Plains. So do welcome back, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great Monday out there. These are the Storm Prediction Center storm reports from yesterday, and there was quite a few reports here of wind and hail. We had 30 wind reports, we had 99 hail reports, even 9 reports of some very large hail across portions here of Nebraska, down into Kansas, eastern portions of Colorado, and down into northern Oklahoma, as well as 2 tornado reports here, one across the panhandle here of Nebraska, and the other one into far northwest Kansas here as well, and these numbers may still be going up here as well. And also did want to note that there was even some hail and wind reports across portions of the Pacific Northwest with a couple of scattered severe thunderstorms here that did fire up yesterday as well. So total here for a total of 131 reports of severe weather reports across much of the middle of the country up into the Pacific Northwest here from yesterday. As we head through the rest of today, the Storm Prediction Center's Day 1 outlook shows a slight risk in 3 different areas here across the map here today. The Storm Prediction Center has highlighted areas from northeastern Wyoming, southwestern South Dakota through much of Nebraska with the first slight risk. The next slight risk here across portions of southeastern Colorado, southwestern Kansas, into portions of the Oklahoma Panhandle, and then another area over here into the western Tennessee Valley, into the lower Ohio Valley, from portions of far southern Indiana, west central Kentucky, down into western and middle Tennessee, including the Nashville area, and then getting down here back into eastern Arkansas, far northern Mississippi as well, with kind of a couple of marginal risk areas here as well surrounding that, moving over here through portions of northern Illinois, southern Iowa, northern Missouri, and then another marginal risk area here across southern Georgia into east central Florida here with some isolated stronger storms there as well. Also, with the storm risk today, there is a very large hail, the 15% and an hatched hail risk, which means 2-inch or larger hail is possible from portions here of southwestern South Dakota in through central and eastern portions there of Nebraska as we head through the evening hours here today. Even a 15% hail risk across portions of southwest Kansas, southeastern Colorado, into the Oklahoma Panhandle as we head into the evening hours here today. So kind of looking at this with the composite reflectivity, we got some storms already firing up here across the Central Plains, across Nebraska, back into portions of the Intermountain West, into the Front Range here of the Rockies. We'll start to see more storms start to illuminate here on the radar as we head through late this afternoon and into this evening, and these storms will start to kind of try to congeal into a kind of a loosely organized MCS kind of cluster, a mesoscale convective system type of cluster, as we head into portions here of southwestern Nebraska, into portions of Kansas here as we head into the evening hours. And with that as well, we do have a threat for flash flooding. The Weather Prediction Center has put out a marginal risk for flash flooding across portions here of South Dakota through Nebraska, much of west central Kansas, and into northwestern and central portions there of Oklahoma. And then another large area here of a marginal risk for flash flooding across the Ohio Valley, the Tennessee Valley, and getting back here into the mid-south across portions here of the foothills here of Missouri, back into Arkansas as well. And then the continued here tropical rain activity and some flash flooding potential here into portions of southern Florida near the Miami Beach area, with that slight risk for flash flooding across the area here today as well. As we go into tomorrow, the Storm Prediction Center has upgraded portions of southern and central portions there of Nebraska into northern Kansas to an enhanced risk, a level 3 of 5, an enhanced risk across these areas. This is as we head into our Tuesday tomorrow in the SPC's Day 2 categorical outlook, as well as kind of expanding a little bit of the slight risk area here into portions of Nebraska, northwestern Missouri. This does include the Kansas City metro area, and then getting up near the Omaha area as well, and then down through portions here of Wichita, Topeka, and then getting down into the northern Texas Panhandle, the Oklahoma Panhandle, and portions there of Colorado near the Boulder area, and then potentially here over towards the Denver area with some isolated stronger storms as well as down into northeastern portions there of New Mexico with that slight risk, and then a large marginal risk here extending all the way from portions of New York State down through western Pennsylvania, much of the lower Ohio Valley and the Tennessee Valley here as well, and then through the Mid-South across Arkansas, South Central Missouri, into much of Oklahoma, and then kind of along the Red River, just north of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, up toward Texarkana, Wichita Falls, over here toward Amarillo, maybe some stronger storms as we head into tomorrow. And did want to highlight this, the 2-inch or larger hail threat here, 15 to 30% chance of 2-inch or larger hail across portions of the Central Plains here, across southern and southwestern Nebraska, west central Kansas, and getting down into eastern Colorado, even some parts here of the Oklahoma and Texas Panhandle into far northeast New Mexico here as well. And then kind of that general wind risk across here, the 5, 15, and 30% areas, that marginal, slight, and enhanced risk zone. And then a 5% tornado risk across south central Nebraska and northern Kansas tomorrow. Even some isolated tornadoes potentially as far south as the northern Texas Panhandle, the Oklahoma Panhandle, and eastern Colorado tomorrow as well. Another 2% risk of tornadoes from New York State here, western New York State down into western Pennsylvania as we head into tomorrow as well. But kind of focusing on the middle of the country here, we got a lot of daytime heating across portions here of the Central Plains. We got a lot of lower 80s where you can see here in this darker orange and even the lighter red colors. Lower 80s here kind of moving up to the north, kind of pulling northward here with some warm air advection. Also here with some moisture pooling up from the western Gulf of Mexico, we do have some dew points rising into the low, mid, and even upper 60s across the outlooked areas here as we head into tomorrow afternoon and evening, and that will provide fuel for these storms and all the air parcels that want to rise for strong updrafts as we head into tomorrow evening. Even some higher dew points down into Oklahoma where we could have mid-70 dew points in this purple shaded area as we head toward the Oklahoma City area, up toward Tulsa, and then back here toward the Red River and towards Texas here as well. Looking here at the supercell composite values, kind of putting together, the instability, the wind shear, and all that kind of together in one kind of composite. This is kind of showing you kind of an index of where we expect the potential for some supercell storms and where they're the highest to kind of form. Across portions of southern and southwestern Nebraska into Kansas, we can expect the potential for some supercell thunderstorms as we head into the late afternoon hours tomorrow, probably after about 3, 4 o'clock, and then extending through the mid and even late evening hours. And then an MCS or mesoscale convective system will kind of gather across some portion here of the enhanced risk area and kind of propagate to the south-southeast as we head through the evening and overnight hours. And I'll show you that here in the composite reflectivity. Mid to late afternoon tomorrow, 2, 3, 4 o'clock, got some isolated here convection, some isolated storms developing across northern Nebraska, maybe even a couple storms down here into portions of the Oklahoma and northern Texas Panhandle. But as we head into the very late afternoon, 4 or 5 o'clock or around the dinner time frame, we got some storms firing up here across South Dakota, getting into western portions there of Nebraska, even some storms into eastern Nebraska as well, and then the front range of the Rockies across portions here of eastern Colorado into northeast New Mexico. Can expect some isolated, discrete kind of supercell activity, and these will start to congeal a little more as we head into the evening hours as a stronger low-level jet pushes in. We got a kind of an MCS or semi-organized MCS cluster starting to develop and then propagating its way to the south and east into portions of the mid-Missouri Valley, toward the Kansas City area, Topeka, Wichita, and then kind of getting down here into northwestern portions of Oklahoma here as we head well after dark here into the midnight time frame and then getting into the early overnight hours on our Tuesday. And then seeing here with that kind of MCS cluster gathering across the middle of the country, no surprise, the Weather Prediction Center has gone ahead and upgraded some of these areas to a slight risk for flash flooding. This does include southeastern Kansas, much of northeastern Oklahoma, southwestern Missouri, into northwest and western portions there of Arkansas. This does include the Tulsa area, maybe Joplin, Missouri, down towards the Wichita area, and potentially toward the Fort Smith and Little Rock areas as well. And then kind of a stagnant boundary moving here kind of from west to east oriented here across the Tennessee Valley back into the Central Plains, where we could have marginal risk for flash flooding across the middle Tennessee area back towards Kansas, southern Nebraska, and then a continued risk for flash flooding across South Florida as we head into our Tuesday. But generally in the next 2 days, can expect a couple more inches of rainfall across the central plains, kind of centered on Nebraska, Kansas, and Oklahoma, and then eastward, especially into the lower Ohio Valley, into the Tennessee Valley, into middle Tennessee. A couple more inches of rainfall, potentially upwards of 2 inches across portions of the Nashville area, getting over towards the Crossville, Tennessee, Lexington, Kentucky, and then getting up into southwestern portions there of Ohio as well. Even some more rain and scattered storms here as well across northern Illinois, lower Michigan, northern portions there of Indiana. A little bit quieter weather across the Pacific Northwest as we head through the next couple of days. A little bit of a break for those areas here that have had relentless rainfall here over the past several days. Then as we head into Wednesday, continued severe weather risk, a lot lower of a risk here across these areas, but the Storm Prediction Center's Day 3 outlook shows 2 marginal risk zones from the western Tennessee Valley back into portions of the Mid-South. And then as well from the Front Range here of the Rockies into southeastern Colorado, back into eastern portions here of New Mexico, into the Texas Panhandle. A couple of strong to severe storms are possible here with some large hail, some damaging winds, and cannot rule out a brief isolated tornado, but the tornado threat on Wednesday looks to be much lower. But as this boundary kind of starts to sag down to the south here on our Wednesday, we could see here a little bit of a flash flooding risk from the mid-Atlantic areas through the Tennessee Valley, the Mid-South, and into the southern and central plains here during this time frame, kind of along that boundary as it slowly sags to the south. And then, like I said, across southern Florida, continued threat for some marginal flash flooding across those areas with some higher water here kind of pooling up on the streets there. Across portions of the Miami Beach area, continued from that tropical system here across the Florida area. Then as we head into Day 4, the Storm Prediction Center with a very active pattern, another 15% or slight risk area has been outlooked from portions of the same areas here from Nebraska down through Kansas into Oklahoma, maybe the northeastern Texas Panhandle and far eastern Colorado, and that will here continue as we have a very active pattern continuing kind of quasi-zonal type of flow aloft from the west-northwest here across the middle of the country, and we got some ripples in the jet stream, and where we got those ripples of energy in the jet stream, that is where we could here see some severe weather. We have a lot of warmth here with the mid-level ridge across the four corners into the southern plains starting to amplify, which means they're starting to build northeastward with a lot of warmth and humidity. And we got some dew points pooling up here into the 60s, some lower to middle 70s across Oklahoma into East Texas. And that will start to fuel some CAPE as we head into here the Thursday afternoon, evening time frame. Some strong instability starting to here kind of align itself from the central plains down through the Red River area and then down here into the deep south as well, with your instability on the verge of 4,000 joules per kilogram across these areas, maybe locally 4,500 joules per kilogram across central portions of Oklahoma. And what is expected to happen is along the instability axis, where you have less instability to the northeast, stronger instability to the southwest, kind of along where that here axis of instability is here across central Kansas, central portions there in Nebraska, central Kansas, down into northeast Oklahoma, can expect here kind of an MCS to drop southeast along that instability axis here, where that less instability to the northeast, stronger instability to the southeast, right in between there is where you can expect here that MCS cluster to develop. And I'll show you that here, the composite reflectivity, what the radar could look like as we head into Thursday afternoon. Got some storms ongoing across western Iowa, eastern Nebraska as we head into the mid-afternoon hours. Some isolated supercells developing across eastern Colorado. These will start to grow upscale as we head toward the dinner time frame and then drop southeast here and southward with an MCS cluster with some damaging winds becoming the main mode as we head into portions of Kansas and Oklahoma into the well after dark, into the overnight hours. So I do want to have multiple ways to receive warnings that we could have wind gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour in that area. And I do potentially expect an upgrade to an enhanced risk across those areas on Thursday as well. We'll have to see what the Storm Prediction Center here does think in the next couple of days. But even into Friday, continuing into next weekend here, we do have another 15% slight risk area, the Storm Prediction Center's Day 5 outlook, from portions of eastern Arkansas, north central Mississippi, into western and northwestern Alabama, kind of a continued type of severe threat from kind of maybe an MCV or mesoscale convective vortex kind of developing across Oklahoma and kind of shifting eastward and kind of reigniting some more stronger storms across the deep south as we head into our Friday. But generally through the next 5 days, this goes all the way through Saturday evening into Sunday morning, You can expect several more inches of rain across the Tennessee Valley back into the Mid-South, Central Plains. A very active pattern. Still an active pattern starting to set up again across the Pacific Northwest around the Seattle area, Portland, and up in here portions of Vancouver. Can actually here you can see a lot of here rainfall potential up that way, and across the Northeast have a lot of rainfall potential as well, with some showers and storms here across much of the interior Northeast, especially across portions here of the Boston area, getting down here towards Cape Cod, and then getting down here into portions of Connecticut, New Jersey, eastern portions there of Pennsylvania. Can be expecting a few inches of rainfall here through the next 5 days as well. But as we extend a little farther out, I did want to talk about this as well. The next 6 to 10 day temperature outlook the Climate Prediction Center just came out with today. This is valid between June 12th and June 16th, so kind of centering on the middle of June, getting closer to the Father Day weekend, and we can expect a very above average probability of, above average temperatures across the Four Corners into the Texas area, with below normal temperatures across the Pacific Northwest, also into the Mid-Atlantic and interior Northeast here, but an active pattern with a northern stream jet is expected across the northern portions here of this ridge, and this ridge will continue to stick around as we head towards the third week here of June, from the 14th through the 20th. This continues through the Father's Day weekend, with above average temperatures extending across portions of the Four Corners, through the central, southern plains, into the southeast, with that trough kind of hanging back into the Pacific Northwest as well, and then that active pattern here from the northern plains, the upper Great Lakes, into the northeast as we head in towards the end of June there. But underneath that mid-level ridge, we'll have a lot of sinking air, so not a lot of air that wants to rise. So you're going to have below normal precipitation here expected, above normal precipitation with that trough kind of hanging back into the Pacific Northwest, also with that jet stream kind of extending farther to the east from southern Canada into the northern plains and the far northeast United States. Also an active pattern kind of down into Florida here as well. And then kind of into the third week of June, with that here ridge starting to amplify even further toward the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. A lot of sinking air, and you don't have a lot of precipitation expected. So below normal precipitation is here, a possibility, with a continued trough across the Pacific Northwest. Some wet times are expected with a lot of rainfall there. And then you're kind of an active pattern across the Great Lakes into the interior Northeast as we head toward the third week in June as well. Generally, this is what the 850 millibar type of temperature anomaly is what we're looking at here. And where you see the brighter, reds, pinks, and purples here, you can see that's where we have well above average temperatures, and that's where that ridge will start to kind of build to the east. This is going into early next week, and you can see this will continue to build to the east. We got the trough hanging around here, the Pacific Northwest, another trough moving out from the northeast, and in between we got that very strong ridge, and that will continue to kind of hang around as we head toward the middle portion here of June, and then kind of start to move to the east, and then another ridge, or kind of an elongation of the ridge, starts to build back northward across the Intermountain West and the Rockies as we head towards that third week in June. And like I said, underneath that ridge, a lot of drier than normal precipitation, a very active northern stream jet. This might be pushed all the way up into southern Canada, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, over towards the Ontario and Quebec areas, and then kind of diving down into the northeast here. We do have maybe some complexes of storms that could be affecting portions here of, the southern Canada over toward Ontario, and portions there of Quebec, maybe even some severe weather into portions of southeastern Canada as well. So we'll have to watch that, and also the tropics, we'll have to watch that as well, as we're kind of getting toward the middle of June. So we do have to watch the tropics here as we head toward the middle of June as well. I know that was a lot to get to, but I hope that was informative for you. I hope everybody's having a great Monday out there. Do be sure to like my video, give me a nice thumbs up, leave any comments, questions below here in the chat. Also remember to subscribe to my channel here, as I will my new goal is 200 subscribers, so please help me get there. I do greatly appreciate that, and I hope everybody has a great Monday and the rest of the week out there. Thank you very much, and have a great day.